Okay, we're recording. Let me pull up the questions.
Are you ready for this?
You guys prepared?
Yeah, this is how prepared we are.
All right.
This is how we always do it.
So I would have sent them to you if I was going to ask you anything difficult, but I'm not. So I think you'll be okay.
Normally he just reads a script when he's doing his.
You knew that the whole time? Why don't you tell me?
That's a secret. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode
64
of the Slightly Serious Sign podcast. As you can probably hear, we're currently live at the ISA show. There's a bunch of people looking at us right now as we're doing this. So
Kind of distracting.
yeah, so hopefully the audio sounds okay. You're going to hear background noise. We apologize, but hopefully this will be some good quality content. So
And we may get interrupted too. So
IT Supplies is out here
IT Supplies
interrupting
just
us. Domingo
took his
Jr.
shirt off in
watch
front
us
of the
now.
booth. He took his shirt.
Come on in.
Look at him. He's got his tramp
gosh.
stamp. I didn't even know Jeff had a tramp stamp. IT Supplies.
It's good to know.
Can't unsee it.
Steve, thanks for joining us today. So you'll hear the next few episodes are going to be people. Domingo, you have anything to add?
I'm here. Domingo.
Hey, we have a fourth mic if you want to sit down.
Thanks. Domingo, we purposely kept you out of this episode.
And then you joined in anyways. Yeah, so thanks for joining us. I know you had to
Thanks
make
for
a
having me.
long walk from literally, well, you can't see
10
it.
feet.
10 feet behind me here. So I didn't plan that, but it worked out pretty good. So shout out, as you can see the booth behind us, Illuminate AmeriCord. Thanks for letting us use your booth for this. They're just standing over there still trying to sell products, so we appreciate them letting us use their space. So Steve, do you want to do an intro? Who are you? Who do you work for? How long you been in the industry? How long you been at Safety Speed?
Yeah, so my name's Steve Sheetz with Safety Speed. Been there since 2003. Oh,
Gotta go closer.
go close.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Yeah, I've been doing the sign shows, since I started. So 03, 04. And then I now have kind of moved from direct sales into being a product manager. So still the same thing. Everybody does a little bit of everything at a small company. We're just a small manufacturer up in Minneapolis. And I'm head of the sign industry event. So
Did they move you because you weren't selling any product?
yes.
So like, hey, he can't sell. So like, maybe we can put him in product management. You weren't closing.
No.
He was getting lots of opportunities out there.
Lots of opportunities, just wasn't closing.
Yeah. There's a lot of deals out there.
I think you got to turn his microphone up a little bit, Tyler.
What? I'm going to have to figure out which one this is. Can you talk?
Test.
Hello?
Test.
There we
Oh,
go.
wow, you're loud
There we
now.
go. There we go.
Okay, yeah, sorry, you're going to hear some background noise. We'll play with this audio as we go. Hopefully Rick will just make it magic.
Yeah,
It
he
seems
usually does.
unlikely, though,
He usually does.
but hopefully it'll sound way better than it does currently for
Oh,
us.
yeah.
So how many trade shows a year do you guys do?
We used to do 30 a year. Now we're down to 4 to 5.
So they're not worth it.
Well,
You weren't closing.
there were a lot more regional shows back in the day when I
Yep.
started, and now a lot of those have gone away with the national shows kind of taking over. Like ISA here, Printing United, those are the big ones. And then on the woodworking side, there's only really AWFS that's in the summer on odd years, and then IWF on even years in Atlanta. So kind of just focused on those, and then supporting dealers like Wensco with the open houses, and just kind of keeping on top of things.
So for those of the people that are listening that don't know, what does Safety Speed make?
Yeah, so Safety Speed, we're a small manufacturer, make vertical panel saws. That's our bread and butter, our biggest machine. And then we have a full line of knife cutters that are dust-free cutters. Those are actually imported from the UK. And then we have a full line of woodworking equipment. So wide belt sanders, edge benders, screw pocket machines, like cabinetry making equipment.
Perfect. So my question was, because this leads into the thing I wanted to make a joke about, but where have people like seen your equipment? Outside of the sign industry, where will people run into it?
At every Wensco branch
That's true.
and Home Depot and Lowe's. Those are the big ones.
Because the joke I was going to make was that Home Depot has very strict rules on what they can cut on their vertical panel saws. And I was laughing because it was like they wouldn't cut anything. I want to say it was like under 12 inches. They were like, we won't cut anything under 12 inches. I was like, 12 inches? It's like, I just cut like 3 inches off the other day. I mean, it's probably not the most recommended application for it, but yeah, I see them in every Home Depot and I laugh at how complicated.
And they
those ones are.
actually service their saw more than ours. Like ours only get service and maintenance once a year. When Steve comes in for the open house.
We have the annual maintenance plan.
Annual maintenance plans when he comes in for the open house.
Wensco open house, and Steve cleans them before the show.
And he says, "Hey, the vacuum's
now
full."
More people are
It's
making fun of us.
blowing shavings. It's not sucking shavings.
Yeah.
Well, it works both ways. We figured,
Well,
if
that-
you hook it up backwards, it actually just pushes the dust away. So then it's still clean either way.
Yeah. The last time we dumped it was when the last time you were there when you said it was full last year.
It hasn't gotten. That's
That's the one in Grand
Why is
Rapids,
Judy
right?
staring at us?
I don't know.
She wants to be on the
This is-
podcast.
For everyone else, it's like magic. They've never
Listen.
seen this actually happen before.
Yeah. So when I
doesn't
was
look
saying
impressed.
the last 3-4 episodes, I said we need a babysitter for Judy. This is why. She's literally standing there staring at us. If someone at the show right now
No
could come
pressure.
over here and take
No
her away, she needs a babysitter.
Same with everyone at the
Well, I'll
graphic
be back
booth. They
there.
just keep looking at us. So, well,
She's gonna throw a drink on me.
I can't hear a word she said.
Yeah.
So what are the what type of customers are like, let me say, your ideal customer for like a vertical panel saw?
Yeah, it's any customer cutting rigid substrates. So, if you're cutting aluminum composite, for example, plastics, any composite material can be cut. If it's not rigid enough to stand up, then it's not a machine that or something we would go after. But for example, customer comes into Wensco, they want to have 5 cuts or whatever. They're ordering a ton. That's a perfect opportunity to sell a panel saw. To take that off your plate too. But yeah, it's all rigid substrates unless, we of course now have the desktop cutters for vinyl, all kinds of different flexible materials, but panel saws is all rigid substrates.
So if you have a Wensco, if you're listening and you have a Wensco out there that will cut it for you, right? We charge for that, but if we will cut it for you, at what point is it do you think it would be beneficial for them to invest in equipment versus reach out and say, hey, can you guys cut this to, X size?
I think
or X
every
size?
time because I'm sick of cutting.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. But like, at what point is it like, oh, I'd rather just have Wensco do it or your dealer do it than?
I don't know if there's like a set number, but I feel like customers kind of see that coming when the volume goes up, and if you're having to pay $300-500 a month, depending on the amount of cutting, if it's that high, then you can kind of see the value of buying a panel saw, which is anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. And then you can kind of see that work itself off in months, sometimes less. So
I think the one I always think about, the people that need them, is when you've walked into a sign shop that doesn't have a vertical panel saw, right? But you walk into the back and there's just this massive stack of just scrap pieces of sheets that they've kept and never thrown away, and they go back like 100 years, right? They've been hoarding this stuff. That's the ideal customer for it, because you're probably getting signs where you're like, yeah, I'm looking for like a 12 by 18, and then they go back there and they have like a 14 by 29, and they're like, oh, that's a bummer. I'm going to have to order it because I can't cut this.
got to take it over to Wensco.
So if you have that, yeah, we're not cutting your scraps for you. Okay. So if you got scraps, you need a vertical panel saw. But yeah, like if you have that kind of stuff sitting around your shop, like it's so easy to just get, they're the easiest thing in the world to use too, which we'll talk about too. But if you're out there and you have scraps, or you frequently make signs that aren't, just a standard 4x8 or whatever size, or even on corrugated, like 24 by 18 or whatever, like it's the perfect opportunity for you to use the extra pieces of material that you already have and make more signs with them. So
some random lady just took a picture of us. I was smiling. You guys weren't even smiling.
Oh,
She's over
sorry.
there in the
I was grinning.
You were grinning?
she's
okay.
I hope she posts us.
She's going to your booth.
Yeah, she's from our booth.
Oh,
I know who she is.
What's her name? Let's say her name.
Annabelle.
Annabelle?
Yep.
Nice to see you, Annabelle. You could at least smile back
thanks.
at me.
Make sure this gets posted on social media.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I'll send him a link.
So if you're another question kind of along the same lines as the one we just asked, but if you are a shop and you are using let's just say standard sizes, right? So let's say like you're using 2x3, 4x8, is there still a benefit to getting a vertical panel saw versus just buying the standard sizes? Are you seeing people that maybe, let's say currently that's what they offer, right, is 2x3, but if they had the saw, then do you think the customers naturally expand what they offer after they have the saw, or is it like, oh, I only do 2x3, I don't think I need it?
Yeah, if they end up buying a panel saw, yeah, absolutely branch out after that. If they're just buying blanks and they're comfortable, that's all they want to do. They don't want to expand at all. It's like 18 by 24s. You know, if you're doing a yard sign, something like that. If that's all you want to do, then you don't buy a panel saw. But once you see the benefit, how easy it is, how fast it is to set up cuts, I think it's a no-brainer. Very simple machine, very safe. But yeah, if you want to expand your business, you need a cutter. So.
Yeah, I think we just see a lot of people that. This is not exclusive to vertical panel saws by any means, but we see a lot of people that will just be like, oh, the way I've been doing it, I don't need anything else, right? This is working just fine. Like, and this happens on all equipment, right? So people that don't have like a fly-bite cutter, for example, is a perfect example of this. They're like, oh, I don't need one. We just print and apply it, right? Mm-hmm. Or they don't have like a rollover application table. They're like, oh no, we're good. We don't need one. And then the second you get it in your business, you're like, how did we ever do it this way? And I think that would be the example of that. Because I think about even the stuff that we do, right? We're not making any signs. We probably still use that thing for Wensco, like stuff we're doing for open house and all that stuff. Probably at least
just
once
daily,
a week. Yeah, I mean, we're cutting every day.
Right?
Yeah. But like for our own projects, we still use it all the time for that. Like, I don't know how I would even do it without it, to be honest with you. So
listen, so that's the owner of your company, right?
President, yeah.
President, what's his name?
Brian.
Brian?
I do know his name.
Okay, so listen, I have a question. How come he sounds like he's from Canada and you don't, but you guys are both from the same city?
I grew up in St. Louis, so I didn't.
You never got the Minnesota Canadian accent.
But when I go back to St. Louis, people really make fun of me. So
I
must have an O or something.
Yeah, compared to like he's like sorry. I mean he's full on Canadian.
Sorry.
Yeah,
he's full on Canadian.
Boot.
Yeah, yeah. He's full on.
He's full on Canadian.
He's full on Canadian.
He's from Wisconsin.
Yep,
that's funny.
You betcha.
He's from Minnesota. Minnesota, right?
He lives in Wisconsin, but
he lives in Wisconsin.
Yep.
So
another smiling face.
Yeah. If you're not watching this on video, none of this is going to make sense to you. But we have
people are coming through taking pictures of us nonstop.
So the next one, well, we're going to run out of time for the show. So the next one hopefully will be a little more mild than this one is. But the next question I had, so we deal with a lot of, let's say, franchises getting set up and they're looking for new equipment. When do you think is a good time to get a full-size vertical panel saw versus getting one of the stand-up dust-free cutters?
Yeah, that's all a volume issue. So the dust-free vertical cutters, those are great for making a single cut. You're not stacking material, but it's just one piece at a time, and it's all manual, only vertical cut, so it is limited. In that way, it doesn't rotate like a panel saw would, but it's manually operated. So if you're cutting through a lot of ACM, you're doing V-grooving on ACM, it's really difficult to get through it. And so if your volume's more than a couple cuts a day, I'd always push towards a panel saw, but some shops just can't have dust. So you gotta, I mean, that's a factor too, along with volume. But once you're cutting, hour to 3 hours a day, then a panel saw is absolutely the way to go because that motor does all the work for you.
What materials are ideal for the dust-free cutter versus a standard panel saw? Yeah,
so number one complaint on cutting like aluminum composite is all the shavings that you get, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you're using a saw blade. On a dust-free cutter, it's a dual wheel cartridge, which cuts without any dust and actually creates kind of a beveled edge. So it's nice. It's not a sharp edge, nice and smooth. And then on PVC, that's the other one that's kind of a big one where when you cut with the saw, you get those tiny little dust particles, and it gets everywhere, and there's nothing you can do about it, even with the best dust collection. So that's where a substrate cutter using the 3-knife cartridge that we have cuts it dust-free, and it's a nice clean edge.
We were talking about this before the podcast started, but so what you're saying, though, is to hook it up backwards on the vacuum doesn't make the PVC part any better?
No.
Okay. I just want to check, like maybe instead of trying to...
so far away, you don't see it.
It might be a strategy. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could try it in your shop. The only problem is you'd end up with all of it in your eyes. That would be the main problem you'd run into.
That would be good.
So most of the materials, so if you're cutting anything like actual like wood, that's not going to be dust-free cutter in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, none of the blades can cut through wood, so you are limited that way. Each tool has a limitation. So with the dust-free cutters, it's really difficult to cut polycarbonate. If it's too thick, there's just no way to do it. You have to use a saw. And then on a saw, you're not really limited. It's just the saw blade that you use. I know not everybody changes the blade all the time, but
once a year,
I'm not looking at anybody.
Once a year, baby.
Hey,
But yeah, it's really comes down to the tooling in terms of material.
I just cut 1/8 inch off of acrylic on our saw, and it did not crack. So
nice.
I'm not saying that we changed the blade recently because we could have, but it worked. And everyone was like, this is a terrible idea. And I was like, you're probably right, but I either throw this entire piece away or we cut 1/8 off. And it worked. So
nice.
So to give you an idea of how well these will work, if you measure it right the first time, though, you don't have to cut the 1/8 off. You just cut it at the first size that you wanted, and then realize that it fits.
And that was the
go.
saw that hasn't had maintenance since September.
Yeah, he came. It
Since
might
he
have had
came
a
in
new blade,
September.
though. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I doubt they had a new blade because they'd have to go actually to the store and get a new blade.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I
ones
don't-
hanging there have some rust on them. I think the last ones. I
those
saw.
are decorations.
Those are-
Yeah.
Those are back from when I hung those blades up 20 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
don't think they've ever moved. I mean, that rack's never moved, so that's probably why. So.
I originally built that rack when we put our first saw in there.
That's funny.
It wasn't Safety Speed at first.
It
though,
was
remember?
another brand.
It was a
brand
different
X.
brand. We,
And X.
we,
Wow.
we threw that thing out. Yeah, it's actually
Oh.
in the barn. You want it?
Is it really?
Yeah.
With the roll cutter? Or-
The roll cutter's on its way to Detroit.
Perfect. Awesome.
Well, or it's going to be on its way to Detroit. But I've been saying
Good
that for
deal.
a month or two.
But if you get an idea on how much maintenance these types of things need, I'll ask you that question, but we'll talk about personal experience first. So we make a joke that we're on the annual maintenance plan because we don't do anything all year to the saw, and then he comes to do the open houses and cleans it and all that good stuff.
He usually gives us a parts list. Hey, you're missing these 8 parts.
Yeah.
I'll ship them in.
Or more.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, when you come back next year, you can put them on for us.
Oh, no.
That was true in Chicago.
Yeah, but listen, it's not broken. It's missing. How you're missing parts on the saw doesn't even make sense to me. I don't know how that even happens.
You haven't
but
been in the warehouse enough. It makes sense to me.
they just start flying everywhere. But that gives you an idea. Like, we literally don't touch it, and we cut it. I mean, every single day we're cutting stuff on it, and we will literally, I mean, besides, I make a joke that we never switch out the blade, but obviously you do, because at some point it will either smell really bad or not cut well. And
it's
you can
usually once
notice
it starts
immediately.
Once like smoke starts coming off it.
Yeah.
Then we're like, okay,
sniff test.
probably change the blade.
Yeah, if you can't cut through MDO smoothly, you know that you probably need a new blade. So it's,
And if you're buying cut sheets from us, we're charging you $5 a cut. Just buy a cutter. And if you order 5 sheets of ACM, we're charging you $25. And guess how many times we're running that saw? Once. We're putting 5 on there, run down, $25 charged to you.
As long
Just
as
buy a saw.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
our
you
indoor.
should.
It's not even. It shouldn't even be a secret. Yeah. If you order 5, we're cutting 5 at a time.
yeah, depends on the thickness, but yeah,
Yeah.
well,
as many as that will
oftentimes.
fit inside the thing we're cutting at a time.
Inch
Yeah.
and 3/4. You can stack it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but I just want to take a minute to talk about Nakusa, the name behind our tape. Our tape's the #1 application tape out there, but they are more than just tape now. Nakusa has a full range of products out there. Their new one is called NextBond. This is a UV cured adhesive. Why does that matter? It's an eco-friendly and durable option, but comparable to most of the eco-friendly options, this is a cost-effective product. So if you're looking for an eco-friendly product or a durable product or just in general a good vinyl, NextBond is going to be the one for you. This is available at Wensco.com as well as all of their other products. So check it out at Wensco or reach out if you have any questions. Oh, and don't forget to use your Nakusa bucks. Have you heard about Metamark? Metamark is a company that sells premium graphic solutions for commercial and fleet signage. So whether that's walls or it's vehicles or it's tables or doors, we loved it so much we put it all over the podcast studio. So you can check it out on our videos or at Wensco.com. So yeah, what is there? So we make a joke that we don't make. Is there an actual maintenance schedule that?
There definitely are.
I didn't know that.
Trying to be as nice as possible. But
can you open your
it's
notebook
mostly,
real quick? We got to send this one back.
Yeah, it's mostly on the motor. So brushes need to be replaced every. I know you haven't replaced yours yet, but they should be replaced. That's a wear part. And then the only real other wear part is that dust tube that always keeps breaking. And that just happens. But there's really not a whole lot of maintenance. When you look at the carriage, it rides up and down a set of guide tubes, and you can blow those off, spray them with silicone, kind of keep it running nice and smoothly, but minimal maintenance, I mean, overall.
Yeah, the only thing the only maintenance that we have to do is replace the cord when we cut it. I feel like
Just tape it up.
we know that's when that one, it doesn't keep working at that point. When you cut the
True.
power cord
We
on the
have
back.
a rule, like, because we cut polycarbonate too. If you cut the cord more than 3 times, okay, let's get a new cord. If it has 3 tape marks in it, okay, you
That's
don't put a
one
fourth.
too many. Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
what
put a
about the
fourth.
dust hose? That got cut too.
Yeah.
Well, as long
And
as
that
it,
should be
minute of
impossible to
gas.
cut.
as long as it mostly works. So, I mean, we got a pretty good setup in GR now. I don't think we've cut it in a minute, so
Oh, yeah.
we got it high enough now that it mostly is
Good.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, they literally are. We made this whole joke about the maintenance, but like literally in terms of how well they're going to work long term, like they are pretty close to bulletproof in terms of what you can get out of a saw. Right? There's not a whole lot going into it.
Yep.
The components work. The vacuum, if you don't clean it out, that's the only thing you're going to be like, it's not working anymore.
If you leave it on the forklift on a Friday afternoon and
then
come back the next Monday.
we did that. So we left it on a like they had this great idea. They're gonna hang it up on a
This whole
forklift.
podcast is all the things we've done wrong to our saw.
Yeah, so
and they still work.
We
That's
had a
the
guy
whole point of
leave
this.
it on a fork truck, and the hydraulic slowly went down. So then when it hit on a Saturday, it just tipped over. Bam. And it wasn't under warranty. Okay.
It was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was was it a new one?
it was brand new out of the crate.
Brand new
Yeah.
out of the crate. We decided we're gonna leave it up. I mean, great, brilliant warehouse guys.
I don't think-
Edmundo.
I don't think
it was,
Rich
I think it was
wanted to call in.
Edmundo. Was it Edmundo or Rich? They'll clear it up, but I will blame them both right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we smashed one, brand new one. I mean, we're awesome.
We got it working again, though.
Yeah, it's back to working.
It works great now, so no problems. So besides vertical panel saws, what other products, you mentioned them briefly, but what other products in the sign industry have been super popular, at least?
Yeah. So just here at the show, actually, it's the desktop cutter line. So we've got the Helios we're demonstrating, and with that, you can cut vinyl, magnetic, PVC, foam board. I mean, it's not unlimited on what you can cut, but it's a lighter duty cutter. So here we're showcasing that on a work table, and then our vertical dust-free cutters. That's really the full line. Adding in our panel saws, but we also have a roll cutter, which is kind of a different application than this sign show. But those are all the products in our sign group of machines.
The roll cutter. If you buy a roll of polycarbonate and you only have one roll, like you have a 6x3/16, they have a roll cutter that will definitely help you out. You cut it straight, lines up straight, easy to measure, works good. Problem is, we kept hitting it with our vans.
Did you?
Yeah, we park the vans where we cut the polycarbonate, so it's not exactly a perfect setup. So if you don't do that, it'll probably work fine.
Yeah.
This whole podcast is just all the ways that we break the equipment that Steve sends us. So I feel bad. He's not going to really, he's going to be like, no, you cannot buy any more demo equipment. It's not allowed. Full price for
These
you
next open houses are going to be a rough one for me, I think. Fixing all this.
Oh no, I'm sure it'll be the same as it always is. So,
Yeah.
so
And we haven't
so
changed.
bad.
We haven't changed procedures.
No.
And just because you told us we have to do maintenance doesn't mean we're going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just used it and it was working fine. It didn't vacuum right, but I didn't look at it either. I just kept cutting it anyways. So, and you are right. The trunk, my trunk is completely full of shavings. So you might have been right about that one. So the desktop cutters, what type, you mentioned them all, but like, is it going to cut like corrugated plastic? What's kind of the maximum limitation on what those are going to cut?
Yeah, it's maximum thickness is a 1/2 inch, and that would just be like PVC. You can score and snap acrylic up to a 1/4 inch thick. And then on the Helios, you can actually cut up to 3/4 inch thick with a knife. But it is based on material type, like how thick you can go. And then with vinyl, there's 2 cutting tracks. So with flexible materials, when there's a cutting track, that flexible material might go down into that while you're cutting. So we can shift the rail back to a solid base. So it's a lot cleaner cut. In terms of types of material, I guess the limitation is really like polycarbonate's not an option. Can't cut thin aluminum, because with thin aluminum you have to have a dual wheel to cut through. I'm sure I'm missing a couple products, but that is.
So I got a question for you though. How tall are and you'll know why I'm going to ask this. How tall are the tallest ones that you sell?
8 feet.
How tall are they when you put the saw all the way up?
90 inches.
So people that don't know, I saw him at a show and he's working the booth and he had the tall cutter there.
Indeed.
And Steve's not average height.
No.
He's just under average height. I pushed that thing all the way to the top knowing he can't reach it.
But luckily, some other people in my booth are over 6 feet tall and were able to grab it.
Well, yeah. Well, you were with.
He was a strategist.
yeah,
Soil.
and
Those
all
guys
of them
they're all
are-
like
yeah.
6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, when I talk to them, my neck hurts.
You couldn't reach it, and it was eye height for the rest of them.
Oh gosh.
So what on the desktop cutters? What are the customers that are really buying and using those devices? Like what type of signs are they doing?
It can be just cutting vinyl to mount on a panel. Typically, it's people that have been using like a straight edge and a knife to make cuts, and they want a better way to do it. So if you're using a straight edge and a knife, of course that works. But if you're cutting like a thicker PVC and you're making multiple passes, you can get a beveled cut. So with the rail cutter, it cuts based, of course, on a rail because it's a rail cutter, and it's always perpendicular. So that's the advantage there, and it's faster to set up cuts. The thing you always worry about when you're dragging a knife with your straight edge is that that's going to shift on you during the cut. And with our rail cutters, it clamps on from the top and bottom to hold it tight. So
this is going to be another story of Wensco doing it wrong. But when we do corrugated signage, so typically if I don't have a flatbed option, right, so how I'll do it is print on vinyl, put it onto the sheet, and then I'll typically flip it over and then just cut the vinyl on the actual sheet of corrugated, right? The only problem is if you get your blade even remotely crooked on corrugated, you'll start cutting the front or the back side of the corrugated and not realize it because it's so thin that the blade doesn't move, right? And you flip it over and you can see the little flap from the flute where you cut one side of the flute but the other flute's exposed. So that if that happens to you, which probably everyone else is probably better at this than me, so it probably doesn't happen. But if that does happen to you, that would be a solution to your problem. So, are you seeing people like in the real estate space? Is this a big thing where people are cutting because we will sell like an 18 by 24 and then like a 6 by 24, right? But most people aren't selling 6 by 24 blanks or 6 by 18, 6 by 24. Is that a desktop cutter? Would that be an ideal solution for that?
Yeah,
it sucks at aluminum, doesn't it?
Well, I'm saying for corrugated. Yeah, not for
corrugated. I thought you were talking about aluminum.
Like coral.
Yeah, coral.
Yeah, coral. I mean, if they're printing onto vinyl and then mounting onto that coral, that would make sense. I mean, you get a straight cut. If they're direct printing, and they just probably use your blank, I would assume. I don't think there's anything that... I think it's smaller shops that wouldn't have a flatbed where they're printing directly onto the substrate. So, yeah, people printing on a vinyl and mounting it. Usually there's like a crosshair that you can print with it, and that's how you line up your cuts.
Yeah, makes sense. I had one more question. I'll have to find it in my notes. Customers, where do you see with your entire lineup of equipment, where do you see the biggest time savings? Say straight edge is a good example of that, right? What are other examples of that where they were doing it this way, got a cutter, and it saves them a ton of time?
Yeah, it's shops that are either cutting manually, like I kind of was talking about a minute ago, and then other customers, if they use a table saw, I mean, it's hard to like talk somebody out of what they're used to. But once you switch from a table saw to a vertical saw, it's just so much faster. You're not lifting material up. It takes less space in your shop, but it's really just a time saver going to the vertical design. So, and safety, of course, is one of our top. Safety, Steve. So.
Yeah, that's why I was curious about even why we're having him on, because we're not the safety.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was allowed to come on. Yeah. I do think it's funny how many safety precautions are set on the ones that are at Home Depot and Lowe's, though. I think it's hilarious how many steps they have to go through.
So many accidents.
The other funny part is that I'm fairly certain they all use the same code. So, I mean, I've been to enough of them and seen them do it that I'm fairly certain if you entered the same code, this is universal. Home Depot and Lowe's, same thing. You could just input the same code that they all use and then just turn it on and start slicing them. And I don't know what their liability is on if I run their panel saw, but sometimes nobody's there, so I don't know what you want me to do.
So your code works? Is that what you're saying?
Listen,
I'm saying it's the same code.
I just buy it, bring it to Tater, and say, "Hey, I need this cut."
Well, yeah, but what happens if you're driving your car?
Well, we got vans. You can take the vans.
Yeah, I know that.
We got trucks.
I know that, but sometimes you're like, yeah, it doesn't fit in my car. Can you cut it for me? Right. That's what the panel saw is for, to make sure it fits in a car. We'll do the same thing. You know, you drive your little hatchback in and you're like, yeah, I need a 4x8 sheet. And we're like, well, that's not going to fit in your car. Okay. So what size do you actually need? And then just bend it to get it in the car a little bit. Not a big deal. Yeah. Back to the time saving thing I was talking about earlier. The one that, for us has been huge when we have the cutter on the table is when we're doing when we're setting up our wrap classes, right, and we're doing panel after panel after panel, right, so we're printing a full roll, but it's all panels, right. The huge time saver is before we would use the long reach cutter, which still works great, right, on the rollover table, and
is that the
slide them out, slide them out and then cut in between them, but you're not cutting straight, which on this one particularly you don't necessarily need to cut it straight. But if I print and I'm only giving myself the default on the roll-in, which is like a 1/4 inch basically, right, is the space in between of them. When you use the long reach cutter, you're not cutting a 1/4 inch, right, on a long reach cutter. So I can put it on the rollover table and roll it through that, and you can do it in no time at all, right? Roll it through, clamp it down, and it'll take you 2 seconds. So if you're currently scissors or knife or long reach cuttering and you're doing, box truck panels or even just sprinter van panels, or you're cutting... You're printing a whole roll and you're cutting them, you should get one. It's unbelievable how much faster it is, and you may think that you're flying when you're doing it the way you're doing now, which is what you were talking about, right? You're never going to switch somebody from doing it the way they were doing until they've tried it the new way and then realized how poorly it was going or how slow it was before. Yeah. So if you're doing any of that stuff, highly recommend checking out the tabletop unit for sure. And then, like we were saying before, if you're cutting any amount of sheets and we're charging you $5 a cut, I don't know what the math is, but based on the fact that how long have we had the one in GR? Do you know?
It's got to be at least 6 years.
Okay, so and what's roughly the pricing on a unit like that?
That one's about $6,000. So
$1,000 a year. So what is that? It's
paid for itself.
200 cuts that's what you need to do. I mean, it's not that hard when you're going to cut 18 by 24s on a 4x8 sheet. You're going to get there pretty fast.
We do have that customer that gets a full stack cut every 4 months. Yeah. And we charge him for the full stack. He could have bought a saw 7 times already.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But also, I know why he doesn't do it, because every time we do it, it's everywhere. It is a ginormous disaster.
It's a disaster. Probably because our vacuum's not working correctly.
So I'm sure that's partially true, but also it does that. I think you could get the best vacuum in the world and that stuff would still be a mess, because I saw we're talking about
is it aluminum composite or is it
Extera. So it's like powdered wood.
Oh, well, it's like
is that the green
compressed? No, it's like a compressed cardboard wood.
It's literally it's literally cardboard smashed down into little particles. But I give the example to give you a safety net here for how much of a mess it makes. I watched this cut at Multicam one time. They routed some out with it, and it went everywhere. And their vacuum is insane, and it doesn't matter. It just goes everywhere. It's like the tiniest dust particles of all time. It's a ginormous mess, but that's probably why they do it. They probably have a saw, and they're just like, how about you guys cut this one?
Probably
yeah, great idea. We're just cutting it away. So, that was all. Do you have anything else to add here?
No, we always ask them what makes safety speed.
That's the outro.
Okay, go.
I don't know if you had any other questions.
No, I don't have any questions. I'm just trying to get out of here.
Well, hitting Fremont Street tonight, huh?
So the final question we asked: what sets Safety Speed apart from its competitors in the market?
Do I just have to say one thing, or
you can talk? There's a lot. We got plenty of time here.
Yeah, no. Our selling points on panel saws would be it's pre-aligned at the factory, so our machine builders are aligning the machines before they ship, and our competitors don't have that. And then in terms of quality of construction on our panel saws compared to our competitors, it's just thicker tube steel. The alignment's the biggest one that I like to focus on. And then live voice, free technical support as long as you have the machine at no charge. You just call us up if you got any issues, or send Steve out for an open house. And
that's what we like.
On the substrate cutters, most brands are pretty similar. We're using the same blades to make the cuts, so it's the same quality of cut. It's just the pricing's quite a bit different. So ours still made in UK compared to there's another UK manufacturer and one coming in from China. So compare ourselves with those. The alignment procedure on ours is a little simpler than the Chinese import, and then again, just support from the factory. We're not the factory on the panel or in the substrate cutters, but we support them for all of North America. So.
This brings up a good point to ask at the end of this, because it's come up pretty much probably every meeting we've done so far here. But this is obviously, we're April 2025 currently, right? Tariffs has been a huge conversation. So for you mentioned the one coming in from China, right? So currently that's probably like your no name, it's not coming in, or maybe it does have a name, but it's going to be basically like a cheaper option as always been. But now obviously this is going to make it more competitive. Are you guys running into issues currently with tariffs on your product, or is it pretty stable?
Yeah, pretty stable. We actually did just bring in a shipment from the UK, and we thought we'd get hit with a bunch of tariffs. I guess we were early enough that we didn't get hit with them. So we're not like through the storm yet, but we are kind of concerned. We have got, our machines are made in the US, but components come from everywhere. So you can't, like sourcing a saw. I mean, none of them are going to be made here. So ours is a China manufactured through Milwaukee. And so I'm concerned about that, maybe some point down the road. But overall, right now, even with our harmonized code, if we're shipping outside the U.S., we're exempt from the tariffs at this point. So that may change today, tomorrow, who knows? But right now, we're in good shape.
It just brings up a good point. Like I said, tariffs has been the conversation of this whole thing, but it brings up a good point that like when people are asking us like, oh, what's going to happen? Like what's going on? And we're like, we don't know. And be like, how does that work? That is the perfect example, right? Where you're like, well, it should have been tariffed when it came in, but it showed up and we didn't pay a tariff. So we don't know 100% know exactly. Yeah. So it's just so up in the air. The rules aren't super clear and we don't know when it goes into effect. If it's ship date, if it's receive date, it's not clear. So when you're asking us and we don't have good answers for you on terms of pricing, that's kind of why it's just kind of a wild card right now. So I just felt like that was a good way to end it because everyone keeps asking about it. We just did a podcast on it, so it'll be.
So you can say,
good.
listen to the podcast. There's your answer.
We did an episode last week. If you want to know more about tariffs, we did one last week, all about it. It's like 55 minutes long, way more than you needed to know about tariffs. So guys, before we leave today, I just wanted to ask you one quick question, and that is, what is a pirate's favorite application tape? R tape. R tape is the #1 application tape in the United States, and it comes with an RLA, which is a release liner adhesion, meaning it's going to stick to the liner. Even on cut graphics, if you roll it, it's not going to tunnel, wrinkle, or curl, or anything like that. So if you're looking for the best application tape for cut graphics out there, R tape RLA is for you, and you can get it at Wensco.com. Steve, thanks for coming on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this slightly shorter episode. Steve's got a booth to work, so we can't keep him here the whole time. Well, hopefully those will be enjoyable even with the audio interference. Hopefully Rick will make us sound amazing. So I got my fingers crossed for
Thanks
it.
for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
So thanks, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. So,
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.